Is Zelda's haircut on trend? And will Luigi be the friend we've always wanted?
I'm Mac Fraser.
I'm Backrolls.
And we're the Nintendo Nerds.
We're a new comedy and gaming duo here to help you craft and play your way to a better day.
We met in the not-too-distant past during some spirited online Mario Kart, and as it turns out, we share a love for art, gaming, and all things Nintendo.
And we want to share our nerdy knowledge with you.
So stick around, because in today's video, we'll be discussing the games that we're most excited about for 2019 and early 2020. So, I feel like today we have a decent amount of things to talk about. E3 was last week, and we got a lot of new stuff from Nintendo in the Direct that they did. And so we kind of felt inspired to talk about some of the things that we saw that we were really excited about.
There was a dizzying amount of coverage from the Treehouse, and I spent all day that day just playing and watching and having a great time. I'm really excited to see what they've got in store for us.
I did the same as you. I was playing Breath of the Wild that day on the hype train for Zelda. More on that later. But I had my iPad sitting right beside me, showing me the Treehouse stuff, watching as much as I could, taking it all in that day. They wasted no time in throwing a lot at us very quickly. I felt that the Direct was all killer, no filler. There was a lot in there for that 45-minute presentation. I think the only fluff we saw was that little thing with the new CEO of Nintendo of America with Doug Bowser, when Bowser himself came onto the screen and thought that he was taking over the company.
Oh, and I would have loved to have seen a little send-off for Reggie for all the great work he's done over the years, but, I thought that was cute, charming, but we had a lot of games to cover, and just imagine being Nintendo watching the rest of E3, knowing what they had in store for the audience. I think they were ready to knock this one out of the park, and they definitely did.
Oh, absolutely. And they were the last one to present their, everyone else had their major press conferences and Nintendo's doing their Direct thing now, but they were the last one to go, and holy did they end on a bang.
Yeah, I would not be worried if I was on the press team of Nintendo.
No, I bet that they were feeling really good going into this one. So yeah, I don't know. Let's talk about some of these things here. So some of them we're gonna cover in a little bit more detail. Some of them we're just gonna kind of gloss over. But I don't know. Let's talk about Dragon Quest. What do you think of that?
I'm not really sure what to think. I'm excited to learn a little bit more. The hero was something that had been whispered about online, and one thing that I thought was so clever about the hero was everyone was speculating about which one it would be. If it was going to be someone from Dragon Quest, is it going to be our most recent hero? Is it going to be Eldrick from, I believe, Dragon Quest 3? I'm not the Dragon Quest expert on that, so someone's going to be really mad at me for getting that wrong, most likely. But I thought it was so cool to have multiple characters and the hero spanning the franchise. I think that's a great way to introduce Dragon Quest to an American audience, to people like me who've never played it.
I agree. It's kind of like what they did years ago with the Fire Emblem characters in Smash. Even though they Roy and Marth almost didn't make it into Melee. It was a last minute decision to keep them in when bringing the game to the West, and I think it was a really smart idea, because some of these really popular franchises in Japan can find legs in the US if we're given a bit of a peek into what it is.
And you're definitely on the Dragon Quest train. You're ready to give that game probably a day one purchase, is what it sounds like.
I'm thinking so. It's interesting. I've never played any of these games either, but I'm a big fan of Square Enix for the most part, and I don't know, it looks like a really bright, colorful, story-driven game, and one of the things I love the most about JRPGs is that they always have these really winding, convoluted stories, and that's what draws me in, so I'm really hoping that this one has something like that for me.
Most definitely. I think it'll have everything you need and more.
Yeah, so we got kind of a teaser on that. That's coming July 29th of this year. After that, I think they talked a little bit about Luigi's Mansion. We were talking about Luigi and is he going to be the friend we've always wanted?
Well, I'm so excited that they surprised us with not only Luigi, but the fact that it's going to be a co-op game, that you can grab a second controller and introduce that to someone else on the couch next to you. I think that is a super exciting mechanic that will be a lot of fun to invite your friend over. That's something we never see before in a Luigi's Mansion game.
Honestly, multiplayer in some of these games is really important to me, both the aspects of couch co-op as well as online. Mm-hmm. I love the idea that I can take this game online with friends, maybe, and have some fun with it. It looks like it's going to be just a laugh to play as a group.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever got into Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS, but it had
I missed that one.
I think they are taking the right notes from that game, and they're leaving behind the right things, too. I dipped my foot into the online play just a little bit there, and it's fun. It'll be good for a quick laugh, but I think what they took most importantly was what the fans wanted out of another Luigi's Mansion game was something that was more storyline driven and felt less like entering distinct levels, and that's what was missing from Dark Moon for me. I'm ready to get really immersed in the hotel and really see what the Haunted Hotel has in store for us.
They talked in the trailer about like some of these new moves, the slam, the suction shot, and the burst. Were any of those things like present in the 3DS one?
I do believe that most of these are new mechanics. It's been a couple of years since I've played it, but I think we're in store for all new puzzles. As the designers have promised, we're going to have more puzzles and some trickier boss battles. And as a more experienced gamer, it's been a couple of years since the first Luigi's Mansion came out, and I may have played it on release day. I'm very definitely excited to have a more mature, evolved Luigi's Mansion for the Switch.
It looked like a lot of the rooms in this hotel are very different. All the settings are very unique, and I wonder if it's going to be there's a wing of a hotel that's got all rooms that are kind of themed as if they're underground, or if it's just going to kind of be random and what have you. But we also got to talk about Luigi a little bit here, because I like that. I think that's a really cool idea to expand the gameplay a little bit, even if you're playing by yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think. There's a mechanic from one of the Zelda games. I believe it was the 3DS one. It's going to escape me right now, but it reminds me of some shadow mechanics that we're going to have to repeat from other games that I'm really excited for the puzzling that this will bring in, whether it be two-player or single-player.
Was that Phantom Hourglass? Is that the Zelda game, the DS one, where you could take over, I think it was Zelda, and she had like the ghost of a knight or something?
I believe that might be the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, that inspired the Smash Brothers move.
Yes, that's
exactly. Right. Thank you for checking my nerdery accurately.
I'm just hoping I got that right. So now let's take this little bridge that we've taken to talking about Zelda, and how about Link's Awakening? I got to be honest, with that one on the Game Boy Color, I played, but I think that I was still a bit young for that one, and I hadn't really played 2D Zelda games before, and I found it to be very challenging, and I don't know if I ever finished it. It wouldn't be among my favorite Zelda games, but I got to tell you, this new one, like, I love the diorama look, the music is spectacular, and I think that this might warrant a revisit of this game with this remaster for the Switch.
It's a must-buy for me. Coming out September 20th of 2019, a week after my birthday. I'm super excited for that. If my partner's listening, it'd be a great gift. I've never played the original, but
hint.
Well, I've never played the original, and I'm super excited to see this version of it. I think the art direction is stellar. I love that Nintendo is not backing away from top-down, slightly two-dimensional, kind of 2.5 of the Zelda games, and I think it's a completely different mechanic and a completely different world that we shouldn't lose in our gaming. And I really, really love that Link only moves in 8 directions. So people were kind of shocked to see that he only moves in 8 directions, but I think making it play like the Game Boy is a smart move.
Well, the thing is, we have to have some differentiation in between our Zelda games, right? Like there are merits to playing a game like Breath of the Wild, and there are merits to playing a game like A Link Between Worlds and A Link to the Past. And like if A Link Between Worlds has kind of shown me anything, is that gameplay is still very fun. I've played through that game numerous times, and I really enjoyed it, which is kind of the reason that I'm thinking I'm gonna get this one too.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and there are some people who say that the art direction kind of steers them away from it, but for me, as a crafter, a builder, and this whole thing looking like it's built, I just absolutely adore that. I think this is going to be such a fun little joyride. I'm really looking forward to playing it.
It looks like something that someone lovingly crafted to put on a table or take to a crafts fair. It's very nice to see. I like it quite a bit.
Your kid fell asleep in 3rd grade, and you have to make the diorama because your kid's grade is writing on it. Shout out to my mom, because that might have actually happened to her in real life. Love you.
And you clearly decide to make a Zelda diorama because we're nerds.
Exactly.
The Nintendo nerds, obviously.
Exactly. Well, maybe when we get around to Link's Awakening coming out, it will inspire us to make a little Link diorama shadow box.
Oh, that would be so cool. More to be discussed on that. Next thing here. What else do we want to talk about today? Fire Emblem Three Houses. I'm gonna leave most of this to you. I gotta be honest. I've never played any of these games. I have heard nothing but great things, but I've never spent time with them.
Oh, Mac, there is a reason that it is still so expensive to get your hands on a copy of Fire Emblem Awakening for the 3DS. If you missed out on the digital sale that just happened, I'm sorry, but definitely get your hands on it if you have a 3DS. It is a must play. There are story moments that honestly took my breath away in Fire Emblem that I was truly not expecting, and I think that the 3DS lineage of Fire Emblem is a worthy successor into the Switch line. I think that we will hopefully be expecting, now that I've hyped it up like that, hopefully we will be having a game that is worthy of the mechanics that they've introduced. Actually, Fire Emblem Awakening was supposed to be the swan song for the Fire Emblem series, but because of that, the designers took such big swings that it was such a huge hit. In Fire Emblem Awakening was the first time they introduced the relationship building mechanic between your soldiers on the battlefield. So in between battles, it was important to build the relationships, and it looks like in Three Houses that's going to become vastly important, especially in the beginning. I'm definitely speculating here, but it looks like you're going to make some decisions early in the game that are going to have huge ramifications on the way that you play the rest of your playthrough. And so that's definitely going to inspire me to probably have not just one, but probably multiple playthroughs, kind of similar to the most recent in the series when you could play both storylines. Unfortunately, the name of it is escaping me right now, but I think Fire Emblem Three Houses is a really tremendous looking addition to the Fire Emblem series. I'm really hoping that it's something we can get into together, as apparently we're looking that there may be some online play. Actually, according to PowerUpGaming.com, an Australian gaming website, we may be seeing some online play. It looks like on the Australian eShop, there may have accidentally been a leak that says number of players online to be determined, and there wouldn't be a section for that if we weren't getting some online play. So I'm definitely hoping to get into some tactical, intense play with some very talented people online.
That sounds amazing. It's a tough one. Like, aesthetically, it looks great. It looks like it's very much story driven, which is right up my street. But I guess I didn't know anybody like close enough who like could show me these games to tell me that they're worth playing. I like that, decisions made early on can affect gameplay and story down the line. It lends itself to a lot of playthroughs, which if you're spending X amount of dollars on a full price game, it's definitely important to think about how much playtime you're going to get out of it. The permadeath system that they have for the characters, is that something that continues in this one?
I sure hope so. In more recent mechanics, in more recent versions of Fire Emblem, you have had the option to turn that off if you're a more casual gamer.
Oh, I like that there's an option for that.
It was introduced, I believe, in Awakening, and it's a smart decision to finally include that to people who've always been saying, I want to play Fire Emblem, but I don't want to get so invested in this character and then have to lose them later on down the road. And
that's rough. You could put hours and hours and hours of gameplay and suddenly it's like Aerith all over again.
And that truly, the emotional devastation is what brings me back to Fire Emblem. The emotional devastation of being on an airplane and all of a sudden your casual turning on of your 3DS has become, which of my two favorite characters is going to have to risk their lives to complete this mission that I've been working on for 30 minutes? Or do I turn this off and start this whole mission over again, which I've done in order to save some of my favorite characters? But
well, it's an emotional investment.
Exactly, the high highs and the low lows of Fire Emblem. They are truly on display in some of the most recent games they've had. So I'm really hoping that being able to take it on the Switch is going to be more of the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's you know what? I'll have to wait and see till this game comes out, get some opinions from you, and we'll see if I decide to get in on this one or not. We've talked about this for a minute though, so I think we should move on.
Sure thing.
We're gonna talk about Damon X Machina now. I think this is another Switch exclusive coming September 13th. From Marvelous First Studio, I think.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, so there was a demo a while back, I think you told me, and it seemed a little clunky from what I had read and what I had heard. I gotta tell you though, visually, it's something that it's really intriguing to me because I haven't had a good mech anime style game since Zone of the Enders, the second runner on PS2, and I think I had an HD remaster for PS3. And, you know, they always promised the third one would come, and it never did. Well, this one, the action looks good. It looks like enemies come at you thick and fast, and it looks like it's going to be a fun one. I really enjoy games like this, so I'm hoping that it's a good one.
Yeah, I must agree with you. I'm hoping the same. I'm hoping for a great game, and I wish this team the success that they deserve because they put a lot of work into it, it's clear. I did play that demo, and for me, my one issue is that it didn't truly feel like Flight when I was in the mech. It felt like I was still playing an on-ground first-person shooter. I didn't feel like it was doing something to differentiate itself in the moment, but I'm going to give it a lot of leeway because it's been a long time since that demo, and they could have made a lot of major balance play decisions that will change the feel of the game. And so I'm only hoping for the best. I think the art design is stunning. I think that it really offers up a lot of exciting potential, and I'm done using the word exciting for now. You're done. You have to scold me if I use it again.
This is another game that's going to offer some 4-player co-op, so I'm pretty excited about that. Think of the kind of battles that we could get in together playing that way.
That is very true. There's limitless possibilities for that.
If, in case you haven't noticed already, this seems to be a big theme for you and I, and that's the whole multiplayer aspect. I think that we spend so much time playing video games online together and with friends and stuff that it's really important. It's a large part of the way that I play games, I find.
That's true, but you know, I'm also a sucker for a single-player epic, you know, and that's why I'm really excited for Astral Chain coming out in August.
Oh, yes.
You know,
This is one that I've been looking forward to. I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2. I grew up playing some of these hack and slash games. I like things like Dynasty Warriors and God of War, where you're constantly upgrading your weapons and the monsters just get bigger and tougher. And like Platinum Games does such a spectacular job with the gameplay that they're able to create, both with like Bayonetta and more recently like Nier Automata. It's really exciting to think of the people that are part of this project. Like the lead designer for Nier Automata is directing this game, and it looks so good.
I'm so excited that they have made a game that explores the gigantic moments and the moments of the mundane. Like, it is still important, and it's still a game mechanic to pick up trash in the same game that you are fighting these gigantic skyscraper-sized monsters. I think it's what stood out to me, and we've discussed this previously, is that this seems to be the more robust, grown-up Kingdom Hearts that I was looking for out of Kingdom Hearts 3. And you,
Yes.
as a Kingdom Hearts 3 player, were a little disappointed by the fact that Kingdom Hearts didn't really seem to grow up in its long hiatus, leading us up to number 3.
Well, and the thing is, when you leave such a long period of time between, two installments, the excitement is bound to wane a little bit. And so I'm finding myself really excited about this new IP, because this could be something that continues on into the future.
Absolutely. Excited for some fresh blood out there.
Yeah, it looks like a fast game. It looks like it's gonna be like the action is nice and quick, and it's gonna keep you on your toes. But I like the idea of these smaller things like you talked about, like picking up the trash and stuff. It just makes the world that much more immersive. It's not just like you're running through a world that was created. The world is living, and there are things you have to worry about.
Hey, if poor Animal Crossing has been delayed to March 20th of 2020, then I'm gonna need some way to pick up some trash between now and then.
I think you want to talk about Animal Crossing.
Well, I have to talk about how disappointed I am about Animal Crossing being delayed until March.
The thing is, though, if it's going to make for a better game, then I'm all for it. I also did read something fairly recently saying that like they're delaying it because, you know, there's a lot of talk in the game industry right now of like these crunch times. You're getting to the time when these games have to be released and they're not quite ready, and people are working around the clock and sacrificing their family and sacrificing their health to get these things done so we can play these wonderful games. Well, if Nintendo is going to say we're going to take a little bit longer because we want to provide the work-life balance that our people need, I am okay with that. What the trailer showed me is, again, this is another series that I never played, but I sat there watching this trailer just thinking, damn, this looks very relaxing.
We are ready to be soothed, Nintendo.
By that French horn. By the French horn.
The French horn soloist, that was an excellent French horn player. Whoever is doing the music direction at Nintendo deserves some special recognition over there. The entire Nintendo Direct, I wanted to say to myself, as a musical theater nerd in college and beyond, I was saying to myself, I'm so excited to play all these video games, but I'm also so excited to get my hands on some of these soundtracks. So, Animal Crossing, you can make it up to me if you will give us some sweet YouTube tracks that we can pull for using under our lovely conversations about you.
Oh, that would be amazing. But I agree with you. Music is something that Nintendo has always done well. They, like, in any of their franchises, their ability to immerse you into their games with the music is just, it's amazing. It really is something that a lot of other video game developers can't even compare to, I think. But that's me being a little bit biased, and I'm not gonna fight that.
We are called the Nintendo Nerds for a reason.
You betcha. But yeah, I really like the idea of the multiplayer coming to Animal Crossing. I really like the idea. Again, I don't know a whole lot about this. I just watched a little bit of the Treehouse Live and watched the trailer. And again, games that I've heard really good things about, and I've not thought, oh, maybe this isn't quite for me. This is the first one that I've looked at and thought, this looks like fun. And you spent a lot of time with Stardew Valley, and you've said that those games are quite soothing in the way that they operate.
I did, especially when they added in the online multiplayer patch. I fell right back into Stardew Valley all over again. That was a great way to spend time with friends. So I think introducing that into Animal Crossing is a great mechanic that will be well received. And I do want to touch on the fact that I do support your decision and your thoughts on that as well, that our game developers do need to have real time for themselves. Crunch time is not okay for anybody unless you are only doing it in the rarest of occasions. Do you hear that, Sakurai? You need to take a vacation.
Exactly. So let's see, we got a couple more things I want to talk about here. Just quickly, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. I gotta tell you, I'm pretty pumped about this one. I played Ultimate Alliance 2 back on the PS3 years ago. It would have been, I think, 2009 or 2010. And I had a lot of fun with that. I love the Marvel Universe. I love a lot of these characters. To see that the X-Men are included makes me really happy. Just quickly comparing it to that other Marvel game that's coming, the Avengers game that's coming, this one looks way more fun, I think.
I think they are getting it right when they were designing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. They weren't thinking about trying to replicate the movies, they were trying to replicate a good time. What we remember most fondly about the X-Men game that you're mentioning is being able to go to the arcade and stick in some quarters and play the X-Men, or the Simpsons if you're of a certain era like we are. And you used to be able to get as far as you can while working together with your friends. And I think that Marvel Ultimate Alliance is an evolution of that idea.
Yeah, and I think that Team Ninja at Koei Tecmo is a great choice for a company to make, or a developer to make this game, because they have such a history of great action games, Ninja Gaiden, things like that, where I know that this one is going to be good.
I certainly hope so. I'm looking forward to setting my partner down and saying, sorry, I'm Spider-Man. Who you going to be?
Yeah, you got to find someone else. Near the end of the Direct, we had kind of like a highlight reel of a few things that are coming. We have the Spyro trilogy that's coming in September. Again, games I haven't played. You said you were quite excited about that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I have very fond memories of playing the Spyro trilogy back in the day at my friend's house on their PlayStation. I was not a Sony owner back then, so now I'm looking forward to owning a copy myself and digging into those games. I'm also very excited to see Dauntless on the Switch. We don't have a release date for that yet, but I think it offers a lot of fun co-op play. And as they say, it's the fastest growing multiplayer game, so more of that on the Switch, please.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and then we had Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. I know that we are talking about getting that one. Little concerned about a mobile release of that game, though, because I wonder if that's going to affect the release on consoles.
You took the words out of my mouth. I'm very afraid that it's going to turn into something episodic that you have to pay per level to get through or something like that. I'm afraid that they're keeping us in the dark on purpose about this game, and that's a shame because I thought that game was ahead of its time. I was part of a very nerdy group that had the Game Boy Advances and the link cables, and so we did play Crystal Chronicles the way it was meant to be played, and it's great that way. And being able to play that online with your friends with the Switch, it really made sense to move it to this platform. I'm not really sure it makes sense on mobile, though.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This is one that I played by myself. I unfortunately didn't have the friends with the Game Boy Advances and the link cables, and so when I rented it, when you rented games, I had to play through it on my own, and I found it a bit lacking. I think it definitely would have been a lot more fun to play with people.
And if I remember correctly about the game, you will hit a wall if you're playing it by yourself. There's a definite limit to what you can achieve without cooperative play.
Well, as the world gets bigger and the monsters get tougher, it becomes a lot more difficult to manage everything that you need to do, the healing, the magic, the fighting, all with one character.
True, so hopefully more good news on Crystal Chronicles in the future.
Mm-hmm. Another one that I saw that I am actually quite intrigued about is New Super Lucky's Tale. This was a game that was developed by Playful Corp and published by Xbox Game Studios for Windows 10 and Xbox One. When was this? In 2017. So first of all, it kind of goes to show that Microsoft is seeing a benefit to releasing some of their popular titles onto the Switch for a whole different audience to get to. But I've wanted another kind of 3D platformer, maybe a little bit of a collectathon for a while now. Like, I loved Super Mario Odyssey. I was really excited to get down on Yooka-Laylee, but a lot of what I had seen and a lot of what I had read had said that it was somewhat uninspired, and I wasn't really convinced that I wanted to spend the money if it wasn't great. This one looks good. This one looks like a lot of fun.
I'm excited to see more footage of Super Lucky Tale. I need to do my research on that one. And I also need to hear more about the Yooka-Laylee sequel. I heard enough good things I've heard balanced things about it. It seems like you've heard only bad news about Yooka-Laylee, but I've heard, for those of us who were Banjo fans, more on that in a moment, for those of us who were Banjo-Kazooie fans, I think that it allows that nostalgia trip. And I hope that a sequel is going to fix the kind of gripes that people had with the first one.
Well, there's definitely a bill that now they've had time to grow, right? They've done the first game and they've seen where it took them and what people thought. And I'm sure that once it was done, they had decided we could have done this better or we want to do this again. And so that's one that I'll probably follow too. Once I start seeing more news on that one, I'll be paying attention. Okay, so we got two more. We got two big ones to talk about. I know that we didn't really talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield today, but there wasn't much beyond a replay of a trailer that we saw a couple weeks ago. So I think we'll just kind of leave that. We're both excited about that one, looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll have another Direct soon with a little bit more information.
Yeah, I think Pokemon could merit its own conversation as well. We got plenty to discuss about people's feelings about the fidelity of the graphics in the Nintendo Treehouse as well.
I think that some people are just a little too picky.
Well,
gameplay first. Okay, so let's talk about Smash.
Oh, well, we already discussed our hero a little bit, but as we've discussed and as many people have speculated on, the hero is a great choice for Japan. If you want more evidence on this, just go look at a couple reaction videos of Japanese players to the hero's reveal. People
Oh,
are
they're
really
spectacular.
excited. People are so excited over there. I thought I was excited about Banjo, but let's be real, not only was that the funniest reveal trailer we've had yet, because it mirrored the King K. Rool trailer so accurately, but I think also this is the boy I've been waiting for the whole time. If I wanted any DLC character that I could have ever conjured up, it was gonna be Banjo-Kazooie. And so no matter what happens, this DLC package was worth my purchase.
I agree completely. This was one that I thought had some serious legs, that there was a lot of possibility that it could happen, because again, just kind of going back, like Nintendo and Microsoft have been getting along quite well in recent times, and like Banjo at one point was like a staple in Nintendo, in their library. You go back to the N64 and the amount of people that played and loved Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, like he is part of Nintendo's history, and I think that with Smash Brothers being the crossover that it is and bringing in all these different characters from different eras, I think that Banjo was necessary. I'm very happy that it happened. I'm kind of with you. I think that this really justified my purchase, and it makes me wonder, like, who could be next? We have 2 more spots left. How do you top Banjo? I thought Banjo would be the last one that we were going to see. I thought, if anything, he would be the final one, but apparently that's not the case.
Oh, who knows? I think this was the character that was the service to the fanboys like you and me who've been playing Nintendo for a long time. I think, and the hero was kind of a representation of fan service to Japan. So I'm excited to see, maybe they've got in their back pocket characters that are appealing to audiences that are very vastly different from the hero or from Banjo-Kazooie. To be fair, we haven't had a character that appeals to kids.
No,
as
not
much as
yet.
kids have no connection to Banjo-Kazooie, and as much as you don't want to see it, I would love to see the possibilities of a moveset of Steve in Minecraft. I'll say it. I've never played Minecraft, not a day in my life, and I still would play as Steve.
I think that there's lots of people out there, and I definitely agree with your opinion on that. I think that would speak a lot more to like the younger generation of gamers, but I don't know. I think for me, that would be a wasted slot. I'm not into that one.
What Smash has taught me is that no slot is a wasted slot. There are characters that I never... Wii Fit Trainer, and now I love playing as Wii Fit Trainer.
Stretch those shoulders. Do you think that with some of these DLC characters coming out that we're going to see any more updates like we did with the Stage Builder? Like, do you think there's a possibility that maybe with the next DLC character that we could see something like a home run contest, or I don't know, maybe something, the successor to Break the Targets?
I would love to see a Break the Targets or Aboard the Platforms. Not just because of the nostalgia, but because I think it was an important part of learning how to play the game when you were playing on the Nintendo 64.
You know what? That's a really interesting way to look at it. I definitely agree now that you've said that, for sure.
People, when they pick up Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, if they are a first-time player, get very, very little assistance in how to get started. And so I think something like that would be a worthy addition.
Well, and I think that for some of the older games, Melee specifically, I think that there were things locked behind the Break the Targets thing. Like, you could there was certain things that you could unlock by beating them under a certain period of time, and all of these. Like, I'll be honest, I spent way more time with home run contests than I'd like to admit.
Well, I think if that one comes out, that one is all fan service for you, Mac.
Yeah, that's Nintendo. If you're listening, home run bet contest or home run contest. Other than the character reveals, we didn't have too much of Smash. But then there was that one more thing.
There's always one more thing.
The one more thing. Well, which is clearly the sequel to Breath of the Wild.
Absolutely. I don't need much of a taste to know that I'm going to buy it.
Oh, there's no question. It really caught me off guard. For a brief second, I wondered, maybe this is going to be the reveal trailer for Bayonetta 3. For a brief second. And then, honestly, the green stuff started to swirl across the screen, and I immediately kind of thought, that looks like some sort of, like, Zelda language. And something is going on here. And then they dropped us right in.
Yeah, and for me, it registered for me as Zelda right away, but I was so confused because I said, it's too late for DLC. I wouldn't buy more DLC. Why would I buy more DLC? No, it's more Breath. It's a sequel. It's a
Honestly,
sequel that looks honestly a bit scary. I'm excited for a darker Breath of the Wild, a darker Hyrule.
You know what? I felt that some of the tone in Breath of the Wild was already a little bit darker, but if they're gonna take us down like a really dark story path in this one, I'm looking forward to that. I gotta tell you, there's a couple of things with this reveal that made me really happy. The first one being that I was a little concerned after Breath of the Wild that, you know, they might kind of start development from scratch again. I was really hoping that they were gonna give the sequel to Breath of the Wild kind of the Majora's Mask treatment. Half of the development time on Breath of the Wild was spent developing that physics engine that they did, and I just think that it would be a waste to kind of go through all of that again. A lot of the assets are built. You have this massive world that you could always expand more on. There was things in that game that I definitely wanted to know more about, like the Citadel in the Akala region. Like, why couldn't I go in there? Maybe this Breath of the Wild sequel is going to give me the opportunity to do that. And so I'm thinking that we're going to be getting this sequel to Breath of the Wild a lot sooner than we would be getting the next Zelda game if they had basically started all over from scratch again. But the thing is, from what I've been reading, they're saying that the Breath of the Wild sequel has come to be because the team had so many ideas for DLC that they just couldn't implement it into the game. And we've seen this happen before. If you look at the Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, they were looking to expand on Galaxy with whatever they were building for Galaxy 2 and ended up moving that into an entirely new game that, in all honesty, was better than the first.
Oh, well, that's bold talk, sir, to distinguish Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2.
Oops. Are we fighting now? Is this a fight?
Well, I just have my opinions on a game that puts Yoshi on the cover and you can only play Yoshi in, 2 levels? But I digress.
That's fair. But my hopes for this sequel, the trailer was very short, but it really leaves you with breath that is bated. And I'm hoping that they double down a little bit on the story aspect of this game. I liked the way that the story was told in Breath of the Wild. I think it was a smart way to do it with the world that they were trying to build. But I'm really hoping we get a little bit more, even though these games have always kind of been gameplay first.
I think we will. I think that's the smart decision in returning to the same world. Is there's going to be less of a feeling of, if you're going to be in the same Hyrule and it's a land that you already know, then what's going to be important is what's important to the story. Like there's definitely going to be motivations to travel around the world of Hyrule that we know and love so well. That was an expertly designed world that they created. But I think that returning to the same place, but with raising the stakes is really going to, I think it's going to heighten the gameplay. As bold as it is to say that, how do you heighten the gameplay of Breath of the Wild? I just hope that they're bringing us. I think what was missing from Breath of the Wild was a storyline with intensity. And if the teaser is anything like the rest of the game, then I think that's what this game will provide.
And like I said, I know kind of why they decided to tell the story the way that they did in that one, but it is kind of unfortunate that it was all flashbacks to things that have kind of already happened. And so I'm looking forward to a game where maybe the story, we're involved in the story as Link is learning what's going on.
Exactly.
As opposed to just trying to find memories of things that have happened 100 years in the past.
Because the best storyline that we've ever had in a Zelda game, in my opinion, would be the Wind Waker.
I agree with that.
We are presented with a conflict. Link's sister is stolen and she is kidnapped. We have to go save her. And not only that, but we have, because of the cell shading, we had one of the most expressive Links that we've ever had. But if you want to hear somebody talk about that in more eloquence, you should go listen to Zero Punctuation. Yahtzee Crushall does a wonderful talk about why why Wind Waker is one of the best Zelda games ever.
Just quick tangent to this. Were you kind of surprised at no HD remaster of Skyward Sword? Do you think there's a possibility of that in the future, or what do you think?
I think I'll buy it if it ever happens, because it is a gap in my Zelda playthroughs. But I don't hear the screaming demand for it. I think people would. I would probably sooner purchase the Wind Waker HD again.
Yeah, I think as far as the newer Zelda games go, it probably, I really enjoyed the story in that one, but I think as far as like how the community feels. I don't think it's as beloved as some of these other ones that have happened.
But if you have a certain opinion, if you're still listening to us at this point, and you want to see a certain Zelda title revived on the Switch, we want to hear about that. Sound off below.
Yeah, I think that this has been a good chat. I think that over the course of the next year, being a Switch owner is going to be really exciting, as well as really expensive, depending on how you are with your level of self-control. I know that my wallet's going to be hurting a little bit.
200%. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions about the new games coming out if you're still listening. And if you are, thank you for listening so much. We'd love to hear what you're most excited about, and be sure to give us a thumbs up below and leave a comment. If you're interested in seeing more of our content, be sure to click that subscribe button.
As always, we hope that you leave this video ready to pick up a Pro Controller, a paintbrush, or a pen. I'm Mac Fraser.
I'm Backrolls, and we're the Nintendo Nerds.